Welcome to In Depth, a show that looks at mining developments in North America and South America. In today's show, we are going to be looking at the implications of the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico for the oil sands industry in Canada. Mining Weekly Lizzo Hill joins me from Toronto, Canada to discuss the issue. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Martin.
How is the Gulf of Mexico oil disaster expected to affect the oil sands industry in Canada?
Well, I think the general consensus is that it's likely to be a bit of a mixed bag as far as implications for the oil sands are concerned. Certainly the spill in the Gulf of Mexico does cast a long shadow over the entire petroleum producing industry. And as far as maybe less conventional sources of oil, the offshore drilling and the oil sands are concerned, they are often lumped together as more high-risk sources of production. So certainly as far as consumers and investors are concerned, it's likely to cast a bit of a pall over the sector.
And the oil sands producers are no strangers to environmental criticism themselves.
No, that's quite right. The industry in the operations in Alberta and Canada, they use vast amounts of land up, destroying the vegetation and the habitats. They go through massive amounts of water. The industry, they've got these big tailings dams. And then, of course, the fuel that they produce is what we call, dirty oil, carbon emitting when it's used. So there's been a lot of campaigns, public relation campaigns we've seen in the last few years against the oil sands. And then also investors in large energy companies, international energy companies, have quite recently actually been putting forward resolutions calling for the firms, the groups, to pull back from their investments in the oil sands. We've also seen in Canada, at least, environmental groups trying to put pressure on financial institutions to stop their support of the oil sands industry. Now, the industry is trying to, I don't know if the word is fight back, but it's trying to claw back a bit of its image. They're trying to emphasize that they do, in fact, reclaim the land that once they finish mining or once they finish using it, and in fact, they're actually mandated to do that by law. The industry is looking for new, cleaner technologies, or there's a lot of research and development going on into new ways both to extract and also to process in the operations. And then they're also, and in the processing, and in fact, they're also emphasizing that the gap in the amount of emissions, or how emissions heavy the oil is compared with regular crude oil, is actually narrowing. And so that's something they're also trying to emphasize. But at the end of the day, when you look at the environmental disaster that is this Gulf of Mexico spill, it certainly just recalls in people's minds the risks that are involved in the petroleum industry as a whole.
If you look at the other side of the coin, how could this spill benefit the oil sands industry?
Well, certainly, as you know, the US has put a moratorium on offshore drilling off its shores. And so if the drilling is cut back and production is affected in the short, medium and longer term, we could see, of course, higher oil prices, the curbs in production, all of that will obviously benefit other producers of oil. And Canada is actually already the biggest source of US crude oil imports, and more of that is coming from the oil sands. So, we're talking to analysts, they definitely see that there could be benefit from the oil sands, or for the oil sands at least. So if we see the US becoming more and more dependent on foreign oil, more and more of that could be coming from the Alberta oil sands.
Oh, thank you, Lizzo. That was the show for today. Join us again next week for more news and insights on mining in the Americas. I'm Martin Joaquin in Johannesburg.